How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to my Talos Principle series. Today we're going to be jumping into level A4, but before we do that, we need to unlock our new tool that we've finally gotten all the sigils for. So we'll come over here to this interface, and we've got another little Tetris puzzle to solve. Again, these early ones are pretty simple. Yeah. So we'll just throw that in there, and we have now unlocked the connector. It doesn't tell us it's called a connector, but when we actually run across it in one of the levels, we'll see it's called the connector. It's actually really cool. It's like this little tripod with the crystal thing in the middle.
There is much that you may learn in the halls of my temples, for there is much that you do not know. That is why you are a child. But children are made to learn, and in time they come to have dominion over the lands of their home. So it shall be with you and your generations.
All right. Thank you for that. So now we can complete the puzzles in level A4, which all require connectors. There's also a star in this level. So let's get started.
These worlds, and we within them, are made of words. Hidden words, invisible to you, yet part of all things. We are a story. Your actions give life to the story, and the story gives meaning to your life.
Nice. Alright, let's start with the computer terminal. It's beeping, so there's new updates. So there are 3 files. I thought the beeping meant that there was new information from the MLA, but I guess it just means that there's content on this computer terminal that you have not interacted with. So we'll start with progress rep1.email from Nadia Sarabai to IAN mailing list. So that's the Institute for Applied Pneumatics. We kind of gathered that from previous messages. Subject, progress report 1. Hi all. Everything's been moved to the EL factory. I know it's been sad to leave the good old Jeff building behind, but it makes sense for us to be on site, especially as there may be severe power outages in the coming weeks. Arcaday's team are already working some garbage, blah blah blah, but you really don't need to worry about the teams getting in each other's way. The facility is genuinely humongous. Let's get the show on the road, Nadia. Alright, next up, the mirror mail error, mailerror.dat. From Arcaday to 504 recipients. I'll keep this short. You all know me, so you know that I know what I'm talking about. Sorry, sometimes I have a really hard time reading out loud. I realize that you're all working on projects meant to somehow avert garbage, find a solution. I believe that something preserve the non-biological components of something, not in terms of something immediately. You'll find the details of my proposal in the attachment, but the short version is something, global undertaking, something. Not a whole lot of useful info there. Beginnings.txt. Stration of Stagira on beginnings. Fragment. It is the grave error of many philosophers, not only of the Athenian schools, but also of many others, that they begin not with observation of the cosmos as it surrounds us, but with a conclusion already in mind. And often that conclusion is that the world was created ideal, and mankind itself the greatest creation of the gods. Yet neither the world nor the gods owe mankind perfection. It is arrogance itself to presume so, and contrary to all the methods of philosophy. The honest philosopher seeks only the truth, even if it bears no comfort, and he must begin by assuming, as Socrates said, that all he knows is that he knows nothing. Some interesting insights into philosophy. Alright, I think that's all we're going to get from this terminal, so let's head into the level.
Behold, I am Elohim, and I speak unto the darkness, be gone. Excess data cleared.
Interesting. Just further reinforces that we are in some sort of computer simulation here. I'm going to head to the very back first because there's another time capsule recording back here that I want to pick up.
The answer that came to me again and again was play. Every human society in recorded history has games. We don't just solve problems out of necessity. We do it for fun. Even as adults. Leave a human being alone with a knotted rope, and they will unravel it. Leave a human being alone with blocks, and they will build something. Games are part of what makes us human. We see the world as a mystery, a puzzle, because we've always been a species of problem solvers.
All right. So now we'll jump into the first puzzle, which will give us a yellow sigil. Push it further. So now there's these new devices that will appear next to certain force fields and other items. There's also this thing on the wall. And there are our new connectors. So yeah, if I look at this, it says tech connector. So that's how I know it's a connector. So we can point this at the glowy thing, and it adds it to our little list down there. We can point it at this thing, and it adds it to the list. And then if we put it down, we get these lines that connect between them. But this one's passing through obstacles, and so it's black. So we can see that we can't directly connect these two things. But that's why we have two connectors. So we'll connect this one here and put that down, and now we get this awesome laser beam sort of effect. Now we can connect this connector to that one and connect it to the end terminal. And now we can close the loop and open up this force field. Also back here we can find the 5th star behind a force field, but this requires a red connection, and this puzzle only has a blue connection. How are we going to solve that? I guess we'll come back to it later. Excuse me. Alright, next puzzle, branch it out. So there's our sigil. We've got some lasers, some blue lasers over here. It's already connected to that force field and this force field. There's one back here that also needs a blue laser. And we can see the white line. It is like hardwired to a connector that's up there. So really all we need to do is connect this input to that hardwired connector up there. So here's a little trick with the connectors that took me a long time to figure out. If you left click, it'll just pick it up and break all the existing connections. If you right click, it picks it up but maintains all of the connections. So we don't want to lose the existing connections, we just want to connect it to that thing as well and put it back down. That's so much easier than picking it up and having to reconnect it to everything, especially if the thing that you need to reconnect it to is like behind a wall or out of sight. This one opened the door for us. And we now have enough sigils for the next tool, which will be the box. Alright, don't cross the streams. So it appears if you have two lasers that try to cross, they just cut each other off at the intersection point. So we need to somehow get that blue input to that output and that red input to that output without crossing them. So this one's going to be pretty straightforward. We're going to pick up the blue connector, the connector that is connecting the blue input to the blue output. We're just going to move it way back here so it goes around the red one. Easy, easy. That one's going to come up again in future puzzles. Alright, above all that. So here's another one where the streams appear to be crossing, but this one we can't solve by just moving one of the connectors so that it's around the other one, because they're both hidden by this obstacle in the middle or these stairs. But once again, the name of the level of the puzzle gives you a clue. Above all that. So let's see, I bet if we pick up one of these connectors and come up here, now we can actually connect it. So we don't actually have to go around to the other one, we can actually go above it or under it if you can get to different elevation. So we're still I wouldn't call it tutorial, but a lot of these early game puzzles are really just trying to introduce concepts and puzzle solving strategy to you. By the way, these levels, they're actually pretty massive. There's a lot in each of these levels beyond just the individual puzzles, which is really cool. When I first started playing this game, I spent a little bit more time just exploring, seeing if there are some Easter eggs. And there's a lot of Easter eggs in this game. I know where a few of them are, but not nearly all of them. There's a lot. So, we are done, except for that star back at the beginning that we need a red laser to open. Well, what do we have in this puzzle? We have a red laser. But how do we get it from here all the way back to the beginning? Well, if you look in the distance, there's a connector up on top of a pillar that we can connect to. And we can actually bring this red beam out of the puzzle and shoot it across the level. And we should be able to pick this back up with our connector from the first puzzle with one of these connectors. So this is something I love about this game. Whenever a puzzle, or usually a star requires bringing stuff out of, or like combining different puzzles into one. I think that's really, really cool. It's literally thinking outside the box. To the best of my knowledge, none of the actual sigils require doing that. To get to a sigil, you should only have to use what is within that puzzle area. But some of the stars require doing that. That's it for this level. That's a pretty short one. So let's head back out to the temple. And I'm going to cut it off here, and I'll stop the recording and then just immediately record the next episode, and we'll go do level A5, and I'll just upload both of these on the same day since this one was super short. That way you get 2 for 1 and you're not left with just a really small episode on one day. So I will see you guys in just a minute.